Well, good evening. Again, I'm Mark Shannon, and I'm the executive director of a small nonprofit, Power Inspires Progress, which emerged from the work of an extraordinary group of women, nuns, who chose to embed themselves in the neighborhoods of Cincinnati's urban core nearly 40 years ago, when those communities were at tremendous crisis points. And everyone simply did what they could, attempting to share their lives with their neighbors. What I'd like to talk to you about tonight is a social enterprise that emerged from those early efforts, a storefront restaurant at the corner of 13th and Vine, Venice on Vine. And there, men and women who have little or no experience in the world of work spend a year with us as compensated employees. They are folks who have known generational poverty, lack a quality education, or were not able to access an education that worked for them. They've known addiction or perhaps incarceration. But there are many reasons why folks come our way. But they are real people. Folks like Terry, who is a 43-year-old woman who came to us from a shelter for battered women. She hadn't been employed since age 16. We were able to find her an affordable apartment, secure dental services to restore a beautiful smile, enrolled her in credentialed nurse's aid training, provided a microloan so she could purchase her first car, and watched as she began to create a small client list and eventually developed a home health care business of her own. And today, she's about the process of purchasing a home. We do what we do by creating a safe place where these good folks can tell their stories. Our job is to listen, and we assess, and we teach, and we train, and we help to co-create with them plans that will help them navigate the many barriers that they're up against. Our measure of success is, can we secure them a job at the end of a year of training? And certainly, we provide them skill training in the food service industry. But our goal is actually to communicate, share with them the culture, the expectations, and the behaviors of any workplace. Because those are the skills they'll need to get a job and keep a job. And for many of them, that's a completely foreign culture, and it takes several months or the full year of training to accomplish that. More than 1,000 folks have been through our program. Last year, 82% of them graduated to competitive employment. Another 5 went on to post-secondary education. And within the last 30 months, we've nearly doubled our successful rate of job placements. But we are interested in doing more. And the world is beginning to notice. Our social enterprise not only creates a unique classroom, but it generates more than 50% of our annual operating budget. And entities like Flywheel locally and the Catalyst Kitchen on a national level are beginning to challenge other nonprofits to consider a social enterprise business model. And our program model that surrounds not only the individual participant, but the entire family and all of its impacted members, well, those are strategies that United Way and organizations like CityLink are adopting as their own. So Venice believes it is at a point in its own evolution where we are at the intersection of individual advocacy and systems advocacy. And we think we've mastered the art of stabilizing the individual person on the micro level and creating employment opportunities for him or her. But after nearly 40 years, we feel compelled to use what we have learned to begin to look at the root causes of poverty, generational poverty, at the macro level. Because there are issues, systemic issues like access to education, housing, transportation, medical care, that are causes of poverty. And there are public perceptions and consequently public policies that are rooted in really dated understandings of what poverty looks like today. So we're interested in joining conversations at the national level, at the local level, on the macro level on how do we see poverty and how do we address it as a community. Thank you. Am I allowed to go over? Thank you. Consider votes for Venice. Oh, yes. Yes.
So what do you need from SVP? What's your ask?
We need all the things that any nonprofit needs in terms of board development, branding, good eyes for accounting. But we could benefit from your expertise and your coaching in terms of helping us secure a seat at the table with some of those larger conversations. And I think that's the kind of challenge your organization has taken on in the past. You vetted us, we took a look at you, and ooh, these folks are willing to go into the tall grasses. So we would like to have you partner with us on let's go after some of these issues together.
May I add something?
Yes.
So in addition to those macro level conversations about how can we come together as a community and solve this question of poverty at the root level, organizationally we're also at somewhat of a period of transition. As Mark mentioned, we were founded primarily by a group of Catholic nuns. For that reason, for a lot of our history, our work has been done on a kind of volunteer basis. We recognize that that is not going to continue indefinitely. So over the past 3 or 4 years, we've gone under a transitionary period where we're trying to professionalize some of the roles that have been traditionally done by volunteers. So we hired our first executive director 12 years ago, the first paid one. First paid head chef about 6 years ago. A paid permanent stabilization and job placement person, catering coordinator, a couple of assistant managers, and a development person. So once again, facing those larger issues is certainly one thing that we would like help with SVP on. But in addition to that, we need help with all of the regular nonprofit problems that everyone faces, like how do we develop our human resources department, how do we ensure that our organization is going to continue doing what we're doing 30 years down the line, assuming that what we are doing still is necessary 30 years down the line. Naturally, we'd like to put ourselves out of business and solve these problems at the root level, but should that not happen, we need to continue.
Yes.
What's your 3-year dream, your three-year vision? If we work with you, what would the press release say in 3 years?
On a very practical level, I'd like to double the number of individuals we are able to serve again. And I'd also like to be able to share with the larger community some of the things we've learned about how it is critical to look at the entire individual, to connect with them where they are, and to begin to look at systems like education, and public education needs to work, transportation, housing. Those are the things I think we need to be addressing as a community. And I would like to be in conversations with those systems.
What else?
I would like to make sure that there are fewer missed school days for Cincinnati public school kids. I want fewer hospital visits in the emergency rooms for kids under the age of 6. I want to follow the graduation rates for kids in public education, those kinds of things. Those are the things that I think are measures of success in terms of addressing poverty.
And can I add?
Because you need to speak to my lapel.
Oh, your lapel, okay. On a very practical level, having been on the board for the last 8 years, I think continuing to make sure that our catering is sustainable and growing it. And the same way with the restaurant, because those are our 2 classrooms. So continuing to expand those 2 programs, stabilize them where they are, and expand them for the future. And that's how we are going to continue to place more and more people into jobs.
Yes, sir.
What's your average client look like? Age?
Yes, they range from age 19 to 70. It's both men and women. About 60% of them are women. Many of them are raising children. About 70% of them have a history with the courts. More than 70% of them have histories of addiction.
When you say raising children, do you mean single mothers?
Yes, single mothers. And some single fathers, yes.
So, did I understand correctly that you teach these life skills and help people through your Venice on Vine restaurant, right? So
Yes.
it's like one location.
Correct.
And so would part of it also be expanding that? I mean, like, how many people are you able to, like, serve as a restaurant? I mean,
Correct.
clientele that come through that you're able to.
And at any given time, we have the capacity to interact with about 18 to 20 folks. And on an annual basis, we interact with about 40. We have entered into a partnership with a historic church in over the Rhine to create a special events venue there because we think the pace and the cadence of catering is more forgiving than the restaurant. So we're hoping to move some of our participants into exclusively a catering environment. And again, add numbers there. Yes, ma'am.
And just built on to that, and I saw you wanted to say something back there. But how have you researched or worked with any adjacent types of nonprofits, like Cincinnati Works, for example?
Sure. We have a history of collaboration in terms of developing our program with University of Cincinnati, Miami University, certainly the faith communities and so forth. In terms of Cincinnati Works, our model is based on a sharing of the culture, and our model is a year long because we think it needs to take that long in many cases. Many of the other training programs are compressed because they are, in some cases, funded by public dollars, and there isn't the incentive for that. So there's an assessment, a resume, and you're off looking for a job. The folks locally have come and asked us for our business plan, and we share strategies with them. Folks like Findlay Market and so forth have come to us.
Can I also jump in as a former job developer downtown? Cincinnati Works and places like that are doing great things, but the criteria that they are requiring for the people being accepted into their program is often much stricter than the criteria at Venice. Anybody that walks through the door, if they are motivated and willing to work and have a desire to get out and work hard and gain a skill, then they're going to be accepted into the program. And those programs, it's a more compressed training program, and they're going to have much higher criteria, probably very limited background in terms of like incarceration type stuff. You might need to have some work skills. You better be ready to get into that job at 8 a.m. We are going to be more forgiving and willing to work with that person, understanding that it might take them a little while to realize what a work structure looks like, what work expectations are.
We describe ourselves as benevolent employers. Yes?
First, I applaud you on your purpose and your mission. My question is, when you think about it from an independence, employability, or being able to navigate out of poverty, what's your success conversion rate from that?
82% graduate to employment. We are beginning to track people year 1 and year 2. 70-some% of them are still employed in year 1 and into year 2. There's also another way of looking at it, and what does it mean to the community? And with each job secured, we're potentially saving the community $54,000 because folks don't need to budget for costly reincarceration or subsidized housing or childcare. These folks become taxpayers. So there are successes on many levels. Yes?
Along with that, what do you think are the barriers to success for job placement for the other 18% who need that?
Honestly, for a lot of the folks, it is they choose to not continue with the program for whatever reason. As Allison mentioned, we accept pretty much anyone into our program, regardless of background in terms of criminal record, employment, things like that. So the reality is there are a few people who walk into our doors and we say, sure, come on in, we'll give you a shot. And it turns out they're not ready, and they'll drop out within a month or two. So I think everyone who was in the program last year, who actually stayed in for the full 12 months, was placed into employment.
But I'm beginning to draw a distinction between chronic barriers and significant barriers. And some of the folks come to us with mental health issues, and we're really not equipped to handle that. And those folks aren't prepared or capable of maintaining full-time employment. But if it's a criminal background, if it's a lack of an education, if you need a GED, those are serious barriers that can be addressed. So we're beginning to realize what we can and can't do and partnering with other organizations to support folks. A classroom manager. We have hired folks, and they are now part of our very small core team of employees. But we do not say we, quote, hire people. We provide them training and we get them a job. So if they haven't gotten a job in the competitive workplace within a year, we consider ourselves unsuccessful. But yes, 70% of the folks who come through our doors have convictions, and many of them are felons.
With multiple convictions and misdemeanors.
Okay, so since you're a social enterprise,
Yes.
the business crass guy here says, why would I pick you to cater versus the
Because-
one I normally go to, which is Free Store Food Bank?
Because my meal is hand prepared by a French nun, and if you find the baby Jesus, you get a 5-day blessing. It's a quality meal, and when I arrived, it was all a lot of feel good, and I said, well, what's the purpose of this restaurant, with this room? And they said, we want to raise money to. I said, then we have to deliver a quality product. So my gosh, we're talking about elevation, contrast, color, texture. We're delivering a product, and I would challenge you to consider ordering from us. I've got the brochure for you. We're prepared to schedule an affair. Yes, you did. So thank you. You've already challenged us to consider the kind of future we want for ourselves, so this has been very good for us. We appreciate it. Oh, do I have to give it up? And I have to leave, okay. May I?
You may, thank you.
Where do you want us to go?
Home?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was. So next up is Finley Market City Kitchen.